Hello, thank you for tuning in. All right, we're on Unchained TV right now, and we are joining a collective of women advocating for animal rights. My guest today, Jennifer Shannon. Can you tell us what is going on with women advocating for animal rights? What's the story here?
Yeah, well, we're a group of women who formed a few years ago in order to pool our money, our voices, our time in order to support really great activists who are doing animal rights work. And we were started because of a desire to have the animal rights movement be more equitable, to have funds reach more organizations led by women, led by more people of color, and realizing also that philanthropists have a lot of power to create a more equitable culture in nonprofit advocacy, and that we could have some of that voice ourselves if we could speak with the voice of philanthropists, which we can do as a collective by fundraising and giving out grants.
Why an all women organization?
Well, first of all, the reason we spell women with an X in the name, which might be unusual to some, is because our membership includes really anybody who identifies as women, and that could include trans or non-binary people. Um, but one of the reasons is because philanthropy, just like wealth in America, is predominantly a male-led enterprise. You know, wealth is concentrated amongst the highest, earners, and those tend to be men. And so we wanted to lift up the voices of people who were not men in philanthropy, and that's why we created the organization we did. And also because women's collectives have a long history of organizing. It's just a kind of model. Women come together, we form communities together, we get things done together. Women's giving circles have a long history for a lot of different causes.
Thank you for that. How long has this organization been in existence, and how are things going right now?
Yeah, so we've been around for 3 years and we've given out 3 rounds of grants.
Yay!
This May, we're going to give out our fourth round of grants. And so we've been able to support more than a dozen organizations already. Uh, we're in our fundraising process right now. So every year we spend the entire year raising funds so that whatever we have in the bank come May, we can accept applications for grants and we can give them away. And so we've been able to do that 3 times now, and I'm really excited that we're starting our fourth round.
How what is your role? What is your role in the organization?
We're run by volunteers, and I volunteer on the leadership committee, which is a smaller group that makes decisions like what are going to be the topics of our monthly meetings, who our guest speakers are going to be, and figures out really what the most kind of fair process is for giving out grants and troubleshooting any problems that come up with that. So in addition to being on the leadership committee, I also chair our fundraising committee.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I'm also a member, and I'm happy to be a member and involved in the process of voting on grants and sharing resources and information on my end, and also in the leadership committee. How does one become a member, and why is membership in Women's Funder and Animal Rights so important?
Well, becoming a member is really easy. You just go onto our website and you sign up. But really, what being a member means is that you're contributing something to our work. That could be your money by making a donation that goes towards our grants. It could be your time by volunteering for one of our committees or volunteering some skill that you have, like web development or grant writing. And you could be volunteering your connections. Maybe you know folks who can make a donation to women funders in animal rights, and you could ask for funds on our behalf. So there's a lot of things you can do in order to become a member. And then once you're a member, you have the right to participate in our annual grant making, and everybody gets an equal vote, no matter how much they contribute to the organization. And everybody gets to attend our monthly meetings, which are about building community, networking, and learning. So we have guest speakers come in and talk about different topics, and we also present to each other about the things that we're knowledgeable about.
Can you talk to us about the grant process? Applications for grants are being accepted right now, and I'll share the notice here. So it's open now, and people looking for funding and support can go to Women Funders in ar.org, and it closes April 15. Can you talk about the process?
Yes. So we prioritize giving to organizations that are led by women, that are led by people of color, and that are smaller organizations. So organizations usually with a budget of less than $500,000. We do give grants to international organizations as well as US ones. In the past few years, we've given grants to groups in Kenya and in Mexico, as well as groups in the United States. You have to either be a nonprofit or have a fiscal sponsor, or be able to demonstrate, that in your country you have kind of appropriate documentation for being able to receive grants. But the process is really simple. You just go onto the website, you open up the application form. We tried to make it as simple as possible. We didn't want to ask a lot of super difficult questions. We just want to learn about you and your work and what you do. And then everybody gets access to those applications. And so all of our members get to read them. We get a meeting where we have a chance to discuss them. If we have questions, we'll reach out to you and ask those questions, and you get to respond by email. And then we all vote. And so really everybody kind of has a chance to be seen and heard. And then it just comes down to what our members vote for.
It's an amazing process. I can speak, for my experience in being a member and having to cast a vote on organizations, grants that I'm passionate about. So it's definitely a benefit to being a member. And do you have to contribute a certain amount to be a voting member?
No, we decided that we wouldn't have a minimum donation required for giving. Really, any amount is fine. And that's because we want to have a diverse membership, and we want to have voices in our membership and people voting for grants at all income levels. That's really important to us, that we have that kind of representation. But we do encourage those who can give to give. And speaking for myself, I don't make a lot of donations to a lot of different organizations. And what I find is easiest for me to do is to make one donation to Women Funders in Animal Rights, because I know it's going to then go to a lot of different groups that I think are fantastic. And so for me, it simplifies my own philanthropy. It simplifies my own annual giving, to just decide I'm going to give to this Women Funders groups. And I know it's going to end up reaching a lot of diverse groups who are doing amazing work, and that these groups are going to be vetted by a really smart, talented, diverse group of women.
Are there any challenges that you're running into with the organization, and how are you overcoming them?
Yeah. Well, fundraising, of course, is a challenge. We raise funds from our own members, but for us to really give the amount of grants that we want to give, we need to also raise funds from other sources. So as chair of the fundraising committee, I spend some of my time working on grants and proposals to other foundations. And sometimes they're a little confused, like, aren't you supposed to be raising your own funds? And I'm like, well, yes, but that's not the entirety of it. Like, we're not just about pooling our own funds. We're also about trying to attract more resources to these kinds of groups that we're supporting. So I think we probably have some work to do to show others, including men who have foundations and who make donations, that giving to Women Funders in Animal Rights is a really effective way to have their donations reach smaller grassroots groups that they might not be aware of.
Yes, I definitely agree. Thank you for that. Are there some examples of the impact that Woofer is making right now? Are there some organizations that you can speak about that have received grants? You want to share their stories?
Sure. Well, Black Veg Society is one of them. So I won't speak on your behalf, but you just gave a presentation last week about your work, and that was really exciting to hear you talk about all the work you're doing and the difference that it makes to be able to get a grant. Even though we're not giving out really large grants, it makes a difference, and it's exciting to hear your story. Uh, the previous month, we had guests from two other organizations speak with us. One of them was the Vegan Society of Kenya, who received a grant from us last year, and they're doing work in schools throughout Kenya doing vegan education to children. And one of the things that I thought was really incredible was hearing how far the US dollar goes in that context, and the difference between being able to give 5,000 or 10,000 means a lot more schools get to participate in this program. And so that was exciting too, to hear that our giving internationally is having a really outsized impact because of how far those dollars go. We
Yes.
also, yeah, we also heard a presentation from, I'm going to mispronounce it, but from Emprendedores Veganos in Mexico, which is a vegan business organization, helping vegan businesses in Mexico get off the ground and market their work. And that was also exciting because it's a different context than the one I'm used to. So I learned a lot hearing about how to do vegan marketing in Mexico and the way it's different from the work that I'm familiar with here in the US.
Yes, I did as well, and that's one of the other benefits of being a member is actually listening to other organizations' stories, and how veganism is advocated and promoted, and what the campaigns are like internationally. So I just absorb so much information. How can grantees and donors best connect with Woofer? What is the best way for them to do that?
Yeah. The simplest way is to go onto our website and click the contact button and send us an email. And then one of our leaders will get back to you and give you information about how to join us. But also, if you know one of our members, if you know Naja, if you know me, just reach out and ask us about it. Most of our members, most of our grantees came to us because one of our members just reached out to them and talked about our work and made that personal human to human connection. So really, I think that's probably the best way to go. I talk about this group whenever I can. Whenever I meet someone who I think would be a great grantee or who I think would be a great member, I always just invite them to a conversation to learn more.
Yeah, and I do the same. I love recommending organizations to apply for a grant. What tip or piece of advice would you like to leave the viewers with before we go? And again, thank you for your time, and I'll be sharing the flyers as well, so people know how to connect with us. But what advice would you give? Because sometimes applying for grants could be
Yeah.
complicated for some.
Yeah. Um, my advice is be honest. Don't worry so much about giving the right answer. For a group like ours, what's going to help you is for us to learn your story. We're not a big foundation that's got a bunch of rules about you have to be doing it this way or you have to be doing it that way. We're just a group of individuals who get inspired by different things. And so tell your story, be honest, tell us why your work matters to you, tell us why your work makes a difference in your community according to your own values. Because we're trying to learn from this too. I think one of the biggest learnings for us is opening our minds to how vegan advocacy looks different in different contexts. And when we read proposals from folks doing work in different places, in different communities, uh, we learn from that. And often when we learn something new, we get really excited to support those groups and those people.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time again, Jennifer, to tell us more about women funders and animal rights. I'm going to share those graphics again. If you are a organization looking for a grant with this amazing organization, you want to go to womenfundersandar.org. Grant applications is now open and it closes April 15th. So you definitely want to, you have time, but don't wait too long. You want to start submitting those applications so members can vote on them. And if you want to join as a member, you definitely want to go to the website. We've made grants in the organization, more than a dozen grants, groups around the world. And the more money that we raise, the more grants that we can give out. So you need to join this organization. We're bringing together our power, resources, and voices to support women and people of color led animal advocacy organizations. So please go to Women Funders in AR for more information. And is there anything else that you want to say before we leave, Jennifer?
Yeah, I'll say just one last thing, which is that most of our members are not rich people, but you don't have to be a rich person to be a philanthropist. And philanthropy has a lot of power, and anybody who gives in any way to support an organization has power and voice because of their support of that organization. And so, one thing I love about Women Funders and Animal Rights is that it empowers us, our own members, to think of ourselves as the creators of this movement that we're all supporting, as leaders in it, and not just small people doing a little thing. Collectively, we're doing a big thing.
Which is one of the main reasons why I joined the organization as a member, and definitely appreciate the support that WFAR has given to Black Veg Society. So looking forward to working with the organization and getting more donors and grantees and members.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks again for tuning in, everyone. If you're watching the replay, please share. We need to grow the organization. We need to build a stronger collective, and we need to give out more grants. So whatever you do, please be well and be safe. Have a great day.